So if you need a cheeseburger, if you're hungry and this is what you want, let's say your business needs a cheeseburger to survive, but you get it a cow. A cow doesn't really solve your problem. Sure, a cow will provide the milk for the cheese and the beef for the burger, even if you already had the buns and whatnot, but you have a large disconnect. You have only a cow in a failure to provide the food for your business to survive. In reality, your business needs its MAS 500 or other business systems to survive. So, if there's a disaster, it needs its business systems, not a tape and tape drive. You need a disaster recovery solution, which starts with a disaster recovery plan. So I'm not going to go too deep into full DR planning as it goes a little bit off topic. However, as food for thought, I'd like to summarize 4 of the main areas that a lot of the disaster recovery professionals would talk about when considering planning for one. One is your team. Who is your team? Who are the executive sponsors? Who are the team leads? And of course, in a disaster, it's likely that you may not be able to get a hold of these people. So who are their backups? And what is the contact information? Secondly, business requirements and system priorities. So one, what needs to be up first and when also, which is also known as the BPO or business priority objective. So in other words, which applications do we need to have first on the list to be restored? Secondly, so BRP or business recovery point is how much data can you afford to lose? Can you lose a week, a day, an hour? Maybe you can't lose anything. So BPO, business priority objective, and BRP, business recovery point, are 2 of the topics. Next thing to think about as far as business requirements and system priorities is federal regulatory compliance. Things such as HIPAA, the FDA, Sarbanes-Oxley. When you're shipping your data off-site, if that's part of your disaster recovery plan, you need to understand how you can remain in compliance with these federal regulatory laws. For example, if you do contain data that is protected by HIPAA, then you need to make sure that your disaster recovery environment meets those requirements as well. For example, bringing tapes home that may have customer information on it, whether it's financial, medical records, whatever the case may be, it's quite possible you're breaking the law by taking those off-site out of your environment. 3, assess realistic threats. For example, is it more likely a tsunami will wipe out your building, i.e. your entire site craters, or is it more likely your data becomes corrupt during a power outage, or perhaps a fire in your server room? Based on some of these statistics I read earlier, it's probably more likely that you're going to have a data issue or a human error. Okay, number 4, day forward. So think about what it takes to keep your plan alive. This should include failover testing to fix, identify where are the leaks in the system during a failover. You need to fix those leaks, and you need to test them again to make sure they don't reoccur. And you need to, of course, continue to monitor both production and your disaster recovery sites. Okay. The next slide was another interactive question. And basically, fairly straightforward. Are you ready for a disaster? The results were fairly mixed. The majority of folks were not ready for a disaster, and there were a few that felt they were. So when you think about if you're ready for disaster, I want you to keep in mind the 4 areas that I just mentioned in the plan, particularly the state of your business systems. Also assume a couple days to recover is not an option. In other words, knowing that $15,000 a day is not an option for your business to recover. So I'm now going to talk about a disaster recovery service that Escape Velocity offers, EVS offers, where we've done a lot of the thinking and planning for you and take a lot of the guesswork out of this. So going back to the cheeseburger metaphor, your business needs a cheeseburger, and so you need to give it that. Just like your business needs, in reality, MAS 500 or your business systems environment to survive, so your disaster plan should be a MAS 500 disaster recovery environment you can fail over to. Basically, EVS our disaster recovery services functionally duplicates your Mass 500 business systems. So if there is a failover in your primary site, you simply resume operations seamlessly in your live mirrored site. To get a little bit more technical, this is a Visio diagram of how it works. And again, please direct questions to me after the webinar, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So through a secure and encrypted connection, SQL and file replication traffic is continually sent over the cloud to a fully managed hosted mirror of your site. Now, some points here. The hosted site, it's manned and monitored 24/7. It's backed up nightly with 10-day tape rotations. It is specifically designed for Mass 500. We use a very advanced and custom-made log shipping tool for sending SQL and file updates every 2 minutes from your site to the hosted mirror. In the event of a failover, activate EVS's disaster recovery services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A DR professional admin will move the server out of the mirror mode and into the active mode. All you have to do then is to simply point your RDP or your Citrix to your mirrored site's IP address, including whether you're using warehouse scan guns or whatever it may need to be, your laptops, your sales laptops, whatever. Point it to the disaster recovery site, and you'll have access to your full Mass 500 environment current within 2 minutes of your primary site. Roughly start to finish, and all of the tests that we've done of our existing customers, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. We've had it done as quickly as 3 minutes, but on average, we'll say 15 to 30 minutes, you'll be up and running, operational. So I promised I wasn't going to be doing bullet points, so I do have a list here of some things that are included in the some features to the solution. So there are a lot of features in the design, and it is a solution that is fully encompassing. So if you contact me, I will be happy to set up a call to further discuss or send you some literature. But for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to highlight a couple of the features of the hosted site. It's a SAS 70 Type 2 certified hosted site. So if you do have federal regulatory compliance issues, most likely this will meet them. There is no virtualization. These are dedicated servers, equipment, and network. 24/7 staffing and support. This is housed in a Tier 1 hosting facility, which means utility to battery power feeds, diesel battery backups, diesel generators with 90 days of diesel supply, water for the chiller plant, 90-day supply, 7 separate direct fiber optic ISPs, on-site server parts inventory, 1 hour guaranteed replacement of hardware. So if there is a critical component to your environment that fails, let's say it's a hard drive, or which are redundant, but let's say a power supply, again, redundant, memory, backplane, whatever it may be, it can be replaced within 1 hour guaranteed because there is a parts inventory on site, the equipment is monitored 24/7, and the site is staffed 24/7. Nightly backups with 10-day tape retention, and it is indefinitely scalable. So today we discussed disaster recovery and how it's a little bit more than just tape backups. We've defined disaster recovery. We dispelled the common misconception that a copy of your data is a backup or is a disaster recovery plan. We now understand the disaster recovery's relevance to your business, as we talked about the 4 topics to consider. And I've discussed EVS's managed disaster recovery services. So I'd like to thank you for your presence on this webinar today and your interest. If there are any questions, please do feel free to contact me, and I will be happy to get back to you. Thank you very much, and my contact information is on the screen.